Hi guys, it's Miss Hill. I am just doing this so that you can see how to create a room. Now this is your minor drawing assignment, meaning we're going to take everything we learned about perspective, 1-point perspective, and we're going to apply it into creating our own bedrooms. Now, it doesn't have to be the bedroom that you currently reside in. It could be your dream bedroom. If you look at the assignment, there's basic criteria that you need to have and a very clear step-by-step on how to do it. However, I'm going to show you like an online demo. Some of you prefer seeing video opposed to written word, your personal preference. So yeah, let's get on with it. It's pretty easy. So items that you need for this: paper, pencil, eraser, ruler. Nothing too complicated. These are basic things that hopefully you have around the house, and if you don't, you've begged your mom, dad, sister, brother, aunt, uncle, grandparent, whoever you're living with, to take you to the dollar store and pick up these items. So let's start simply. We're going to create our horizon line. So our horizon line, like we've talked about, goes straight across the page. Try to get your line as straight as possible. The easiest way to do this is to line up the edge of your ruler with the side of the page. Make sure that that is straight. So I'm going to lift this a little bit. It doesn't have to be exact middle of the page, just has to be straight. Okay, now this is the easier part. So we've got, this is 28 centimeters, the page. So easy peasy, half of that is 14. We put a dot where it says 14. Okay, so now what you're going to do is from this little line, or from our vanishing point that we've created, sorry, I want you to draw a line to the corners of your page. Okay, they're not going to be perfectly lined up, but that's okay. Now what we're going to do is create the room itself. So you're going to take this, okay, here's my room. There's my little dot. Now, if you wanted to go smaller here, you could. If I did this, okay, then I have a much bigger room. So it just totally depends on how big and how much space you want in this room. So for me, I did this, but I'll put this in just in case so other people can see that you can actually build this up or shrink it down as much as you see fit. The only thing is these corners have to match. If they don't match, it looks super weird. So make sure that they match. Okay. So you want to erase at this point your transverse lines, and you also want to erase your horizon line. You don't need it anymore. You just want to make sure that your vanishing point, though, is clearly outlined. So the way we look at this is your vanishing point. I'm going to just write on this, you wouldn't normally. Your orthogonals, your horizon, which has been deleted or erased, sorry. Yep, and then these would be your parallel lines or your transverse. I always have trouble with that word, transverse. Okay, I'm ready to create my room. So what I want to do is let's start with a bed. There are certain items that I wanted in your room. A bed is one of them. So the easiest way to do this is you start with a flat shape and then you make it a form, which means that you start with something very two-dimensional and then you build it up. So what I'm going to do is start on the floor and create my bed. So it's going to be there against this wall. I create almost like you're starting on the bottom, like the shadow of your bed. And then you're going to build that up. So I'm going to use this line. And this is going to be my vanishing point. So it always, remember, every line has to go back to this. That's a little straight, so let's, you know what, let's make it a little bigger. Let's make that bed huge. Okay. So there's my bed. Now, you're like, that doesn't look like a bed. It will. So what I do now is I use my transverse lines and I build that up. Okay, so remember, everything goes back. You do the same thing here. Then this goes to this line. This goes here. Okay, now we have the shape of our bed. If you look, I'm erasing all this out because this is the top of the bed. You wouldn't see underneath it. Same thing here. This is the side. And then I can erase these lines. All right. So right now it's just a cube. What I want to do is I'm going to add things to it to make it look more like a bed. So I'm going to curve this down because our beds generally aren't like rock hard. I'm going to build this up a little bit because we need pillows. And again, I'm going to use that vanishing point to create the pillows. Okay, created some nice fluffy pillows here. You can create the sheets in our bed very easily. Okay, and I'm just right now, I'm using these lines as a guide, but I'm just adding texture because things aren't sharp lines and boxy generally. Okay, I'm lifting these items, like so for example, these are the sheets that go above the bed. I'm going to lift this above the bed. So you're looking here and you're like, that's a really weird bottom for a bed. Okay, so I can easily create something here. So what I'm going to do is, I know how a bed is made. If you don't, please look at this thing that is probably sitting near you or go up to your room and check it out. I'm not going to do a headboard, although I could. What I'm going to do instead is use my lines to create a base for this bed. So again, going to my vanishing point, down, there we go. There's 1 foot. Alrighty. Okay. Get rid of that line. Okay, so now I have my little bed. Pretty straightforward. Now, say I want a dresser. Okay, so that's definitely something that needs to be in my room. I do the same thing over again. I'm going to use this line, and I'm going to say I'm going to put my dresser right up here by the wall. So it's easy. I go back to my vanishing point. Same rules. It's going to be pressed up against the wall. So I'm going to use this orthogonal line that is our wall. I'm going to make that the base of my dresser. Now I have to lift it up. So it goes up, up. These lines indicate how tall it's going to be. And then the vanishing point tells me the rest of the information I need. Oops, sorry, my finger slipped. Okay, again, erase the top, erase all the lines inside it because this dresser is not see-through. I'm going to erase this line on the floor and erase this line. Okay, so this is my dresser. Again, I don't have to really, if I'm just following these lines to create a little bit of detail, I don't really have to go like above and beyond to touch that vanishing point again. Those initial lines have covered it for me. Create a drawer, same exact rule. There you go. I don't even really need to go to my vanishing point as long as I'm parallel with this line. Or, you know what? Maybe I want to do that just to make sure. Okay, I'm going to put a little knob in there. So it doesn't really look like a dresser as much as it looks like a chest, but whatevs. Same basic premise. You would just put 2 drawers in there instead of 1. Okay, so now I've got my dresser. And you're like, hey, you know what? I want this to be a window. Easiest thing in the world. What you're going to do is this stays the same because you don't need to go to your vanishing point. We've already established that this is all transverse. So what you're going to do instead is I'm going to make shades to go up here. There we go. Easy. Put a line across. That can be the bar. However, if you do have city in here, so say I want buildings, okay? I want this to be an apartment, and this is very high up. At that point, you're going to need your vanishing point. So you have to take the tops of the city buildings and build them to the vanishing point. There we go. Okay, if you look, this building is actually a little above the vanishing point, so I've created the side of the building, and it's going to go down. All right, so that is the very, very basic idea of how to create your room. Now, like I said, I want you guys to go wild with this. You can do whatever you want. You could put designs on the walls. You can make sure you have light fixtures. You need lights in your room. You can have crazy chairs. You might want to put a door in here, maybe steps. Whatever you want, you can make this room look however you like it. However, the big thing that we want to remember is that this is obviously, everything has to be in 1-point perspective because that's what I'm marking. We always want to remember where our light source is because I expect you to shade this. So we have a window, that's a natural light source. So when we're doing our shading, we always anticipate that's where the light's coming from. Therefore, this would be shaded. This would be shaded to a certain extent, as with this. This again, completely not in the light. The farther away things are getting from the light source, the darker they're going to be, the more shadow is going to be there. This would be super shaded because obviously it's under a bed. Okay, there's going to be a little bit of shadow here, just like when we do a cast shadow on our objects. The light source is coming from there, so the cast shadow should be there. There might be even a cast shadow for the entire bed, depending how bright you want your light source to be. Okay, so that is basically how to do your room. As always, if you have any questions, queries, you want to figure out how to do a certain object, feel free to ask me. This is a great, I post these videos because it's a great reminder. Maybe you're working on this at a time that I am definitely asleep or we're on asynchronous learning. You can log on, you can check it out, and then you can shoot me a quick email, as always, or post on LMS or ask me on Teams, and I'll be able to do a specific demo for you, definitely for what you want. But as of right now, this is how to do a basic room.